I just wanted to, get started by giving a very quick sort of 5-minute overview introduction of what we're doing here, of What's Up Bharat, very briefly, and then to introduce you to our panelists. And the idea is to have a relatively informal discussion. And just wanted to also mention, that we do have a webcast going on. So, this is also being watched by people online. And just wanted to mention that. So just very quick introduction to What's Up Bharat. Our tagline is, some of you may have heard this phrase, tell the truth and trust the people. This is a quote by a gentleman called, I forget his first name, but Pew, the original Pew, the founder of the Pew Global Trust. And the full statement behind this quote, some of you may find this interesting, is no nation can be undermined by any subversive force which has not first been undermined by subversive inactivity on the part of its own citizens. So basically what he is saying is that rather than constantly blame the government, the system, and talk about, well, this is undermining our country, that's undermining our country, you can't really be undermined unless the citizenry itself is not active and engaged and lets itself get undermined. So that's the basic premise of what we do. So What's Up Bharat has 3 divisions or businesses. We call it art, ideas, action. So all 3 of these are basically, in a simple way, about truth-telling, if you will, right? You guys see the art gallery downstairs, different artists' way of sort of expressing what they do through art, right? The media that we talk about, our website, which you guys can see, and which is in the process of launching its services, is going to be focused on polling. And really what we want to do is take an issue and figure out what do people think about it, and then, of course, share that data with the people. It's not polling so that we do it and then you sell that research, but public opinion issue polling, exactly on the model of Pew. And then finally, programs. It's not enough just to have art and media just to engage people. Ultimately, you need to meet face-to-face and talk and give people different opportunities to engage with each other. So that's the mission of What's Up Bharat, right? We have all these social issues that are alive in our country. Many people are wanting to engage in them, and we want to connect different people. And primarily what we call that is young people, artists, people who are, coming from different backgrounds, not always, educated in the same subjects, and at the same time, the experts, the senior people, the policymakers, the NGOs. These are often 2 different worlds. So the idea is, if indeed people are interested in the same topics and they're coming from different backgrounds, and you bring them together, from different competing political views, economic views, geographies, so on and so forth. Hopefully, if you do a good job of bringing the right people together, it can catalyze interesting interactions and discussions. And that's basically our mission and our motive and why we do it. So that's just very briefly the background. I just want to quickly thank the What's Up Bharat team, the respective teams. Arvind, who's sitting here, plus Shivani and Akash, they basically run the arts team. So I would encourage all of you to take a look at the gallery later on, and we're going to have some music. The media team, as you can see, they're very, very active. Many of them are not even here. They're working remotely. So these are the guys who are working on the website and the polling. And finally, our programs team. So many of you have met Sunena and Masrat. So they're the 2 main folks who have helped set up this program. So thanks a lot to all of them. So that's basically it on What's Up Bharat. Now just jumping into the discussion for today. This issue, Iran, Israel, and India. Why did we select this issue? Foreign policy is something which is important to all of us, and I think it's just the import of the issue. If we're talking about war, global war, because Middle East, the alliances, the fact that there's nuclear weapons involved, and again, even as a novice, when one reads about these kind of things, war is serious stuff, right? And it affects everyone. So that's the first aspect. And of course, India's link and relationship to it. It's a fairly unique situation, at least how we see it. That India is not one of those countries in this situation which is very much, some people here may disagree, but certainly it has a relationship with both sides, right? Iran and Israel, which is different from, let's say, the case of other large countries like the United States or Russia or China or other countries. India is genuinely, I would submit, one of the countries that's potentially in a position at least to have a dialogue with both sides, which of course leads to the point that is India going to use this opportunity and how so, and, and whether it even should. So this is what we thought, that from a policy perspective, people have been speaking about this. There's been lots of recent events which have made this even more acute. I'll just quickly also introduce our panelists, just linking it to the topic. So we're very pleased to have with us Shimon, Mihir, and Siddharth here. And also we're going to be joined shortly by Fakhruddin Ghaffari. So these are our 4 panelists, and hopefully in the audience also we'll have some folks joining later, like Rohan Mukherjee from Center for Policy Research and others. So Shimon is, I'll just give very brief bios. I'll let you guys give more detailed bios. But in essence, so Shimon is a foreign policy officer. He works at the Israeli embassy in New Delhi. He's someone who I believe has a very good and nuanced understanding of India. I think you've been here, what, 1 or 2 years? 2 years. And he's someone who's really kind of sunk his teeth into India, and I think he's a wonderful person to give us a perspective, not just on the Israeli view, so to speak, but on Israel and India, and on, of course, the larger context of the Iran-Israel-India trilateral issue that we're discussing. Mihir Sharma, who's sitting here, Mihir is a journalist. He's an editor. Currently, he's the op-ed editor for Business Standard. And previous to that, he was working at Indian Express. So he's a very well-known journalist, and again, a social scientist. I think Mihir is an economist by training, but someone who has a lot of integrated sort of background in social science, in philosophy, history, and again, I'm hoping that Mihir can give a good view on at least the Indian side, and how does someone, see from the Indian side, this Israel-Iran mix and the relationship. I'm very curious to hear Mihir's view on that. And finally, last but not least, we have Siddharth, who is actually probably one of the best experts on, certainly on Israel, and probably on, the whole kind of all the different issues that are going on right now in security. Siddharth has worked at the IPCS in the past, and currently, sorry, just remind me again where you are? Right, and currently Siddharth is with the South Asia Monitor, and on the Facebook event page, you would have seen, we actually posted the link of Siddharth's profile page on IPCS, where a lot of the articles and research that he's done on the different issues, Israel, Iran, Pakistan, nuclear proliferation, a lot of security and strategic studies. So it's wonderful to have Siddharth here, and with that, just to quickly kind of conclude and set the context, so we basically tried to break it up into 3 issues, right? Just to give some order and sense to this discussion. Issue number 1, Israel and Iran. What's happening there with them? What's the strategic political context? And what's the cultural societal context? That's broadly the first category, if you will, to understand between these 2 countries. Second is bringing in India. What is India's role? What is India's role in this? What is its relationship with the 2 countries? What role can it play? How can the situation play out? So the relationship between these 3 countries. And third is to sort of look at not just India, Iran, Israel, countries, political science, but just purely the human aspect of it, And how can one move beyond the past to look at the future? And that has some aspects that go beyond, of course, political science and economics and the role of the youth, and this is true of all conflicts. People getting stuck in the past, blaming each other. How can you change that discussion towards areas of convergences? Is it possible, based on the answers to 1 and 2, to then talk about how to make the discussion a little bit more productive? And I think Shimon and others will hopefully give us some very interesting examples that it's not just only about conflict. There are indeed interesting things going on between the youth, between the society, maybe even at the political level, I'm not sure, that we would really like to focus on, so that we can leave with a sense that, look, it is possible potentially to move forward, and these are some of the interesting initiatives and proposals that are out there which can further peace rather than war. So that's the context, and again, thank you all very much for coming. So just in terms of the agenda, the format, what I would like to do is perhaps go one by one and have each speaker speak for 10 to 15 minutes, however long they want actually, starting first with Shimon, then Siddharth, then Mihir, and then hopefully Fakhruddin will join us by then. And maybe after about 45 minutes to an hour, once we're done with that, at 4 p.m., we can then get into a Q&A and into a discussion. And I hope that's okay with all of you guys. Yeah? Great. So just want to introduce Shimon, and Shimon can hopefully kick off this discussion for us. So thank you again.